Family Matters was on from 1989 to 98 with 9 seasons and 215 episodes. But despite the nice image we saw on screen, there was behind-the-scenes drama that took Family Matters off the air. Now we're just learning about some of the controversies and tensions that existed there. Join Facts First to learn about behind-the-scenes drama that took Family Matters off the air. The trouble with Urkel. One of the reasons why Family Matters was so successful was the great ensemble cast. However, one can argue there was one character so distinct that he made the show a hit. We're talking, of course, about Steve Urkel, played by Jaleel White. The character was idiosyncratic and is still one of the most unique characters we've ever seen in an American sitcom. The popularity of Urkel was there from the first season, and even as Jaleel got older, he still managed to play the character well without losing his charm, quirkiness, geekiness, and occasionally even the annoying habits which we all grew to love. Without a doubt, one can't imagine Family Matters without Jaleel White. But many of the cast members had their issues with him. At first, cast members didn't like how Urkel, originally a minor character, and remember not part of the Winslow family, was getting so much attention. Urkel eventually became the star of the show, and the other characters and actors who played them almost became background props. Jaleel White acknowledges that he felt this tension at first, but that the relationships grew stronger as the years progressed. The cast members acknowledged that the reason the show lasted so long was because of Urkel's character, and to this day, many of them still earn residuals from the show, so there's less bitterness about Urkel overshadowing them. Somehow the show managed to go on despite the initial tensions. While perhaps we didn't get to see all we could have from the other characters, from an economic standpoint, the proliferation of Urkel in almost every episode is what made the show a success, and this benefited everyone involved. What happened to Judy? The Winslows, Carl and Harriette, had 3 children, Laura, Eddie, and Judy. Do you remember Judy? If you haven't watched Family Matters from the beginning, you might have missed out on her altogether. Judy was the youngest child in the Winslow family, and she was played by child actress Jamie Foxworth. Yet after the 4th season, we stopped seeing the character. In fact, even before then, her character was seen less, especially as Urkel became a more popular character. The character disappeared because the show's producers felt there wasn't much to do with the Judy character, and that she was unnecessary to the show. The remaining seasons never explained her disappearance, and it was then acknowledged that the Winslows only had 2 children. There have also been rumors that there is a lost episode where Judy dies, and also rumors that it was Jamie Foxworth who left the show as her parents wanted her to pursue other projects, or perhaps leave acting altogether. But it's been confirmed that the show's producers simply wanted to get rid of the character, and they hoped audiences wouldn't notice. Many of the cast members, particularly Jo Marie Payton, who played Harriette, were upset about it, but the show went on. And what happened to Jamie after she left the show? After 95 episodes on Family Matters, she couldn't get more acting gigs. She and her sisters created an R&B group called She, and they released one album called Three's a Charm. This didn't do much for her career, and in the early 2000s, she acted in a few adult films, though she didn't stick around in this career either. She had many struggles in her life, and her family was almost broke at one point. She suffered from substance abuse and also felt depression for many years. Luckily, she managed to put her life back together and is now in a relationship with boyfriend Michael Shaw. She became a mother in 2008. She's been in a few interviews here and there to discuss her experience on Family Matters and the struggles she's had in her life after she left the show. She's currently an executive producer for an upcoming short film called Absent in the Present. Harriette looks different. The show went on even after Judy's absence, but there was actually another character whom we almost lost. Jo Marie Payton played Harriette, the mother of the Winslow family, not including the character Mother Winslow, of course. While she perfectly embodied the role and was one of the most memorable characters of the show, she eventually became tired of playing it in the 9th season. She left the show and was replaced by Judy Elder halfway through the 9th season, which eventually became the last season. Fans can agree that the chemistry between Reginald VelJohnson and Judy Elder simply wasn't the same as that between him and Jo Marie Payton. She wanted to move on to other projects, particularly a biopic of gospel singer Mahalia Jackson. This was a huge challenge for the show's producers, for such an important character to leave the show after so many years. Obviously, this was by no means a first in sitcom history. Most notably, Janet Hubert played Vivian Banks in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and was replaced by Daphne Maxwell Reid after 2 seasons. But fans were able to adapt. But imagine having to adapt to a new actress after 9 years. The show went on, but it was clear it had run its course. That's not to say that Jo Marie Payton's departure is the reason that Family Matters went off the air, but it definitely contributed to the show's decline. The cast members, especially Reginald VelJohnson, who played Carl, and Darius McCrary, who played Eddie, felt that they couldn't adapt to the change. Reginald felt he was getting divorced and marrying someone new, and Darius felt like he was literally getting a new mom on the show. Pushing the boundaries. One of the great things about Family Matters is how often the show pushed the boundaries of what was acceptable for a family sitcom. But perhaps this is also part of the drama that took Family Matters off the air. Steve Urkel's character was a genius inventor, and in later seasons, the seemingly realistic show delved into science fiction. While some fans embraced the change, others thought it just didn't fit, and that the show's writers were getting tired. The science fiction and use of inventions seemed a bit too absurdist. Plus, in later seasons, we saw a new character who was Steve's alter ego, Stefan Urkel. This was a cooler version of Urkel, but many fans felt the character was tiresome. Once again, this caused a bit of tension among the cast. But now he'd get double the attention thanks to Urkel. The show sometimes also had its dramatic moments and wasn't afraid to tackle such issues. One touching episode is where Carl mourns over the grave of an innocent bystander he wasn't able to protect as a cop. Another episode touched upon the dark issue of racism in America. While some fans liked this change, this sudden switch to drama wasn't easy for the continuation of the show, and the writers mostly focused on pure comedy. There was also the character of Bruce Lee Urkel, which is who Steve Urkel became when he needed to kick some butt. While audiences weren't as sensitive as they are now, this was seen by some as being offensive to Asians, and was also seen as lazy writing. So it seems there was a series of behind-the-scenes dramas that led to the decline of the show, and the writers and producers had to keep coming up with ideas to keep it running. Despite these hurdles, looking back, it's still one of the most funny and heartwarming sitcoms of all time, which is why we stuck around for 9 years and 215 episodes. So now it's time to hear from you. Are you a fan of Family Matters? Did you know about any of this behind-the-scenes drama? Let us know in the comments section below.